Hi, this is my lesson plan for this CIBL activity. I am doing part 2 of magnetic force, part 1 and part 2, and combining that into my own sort of thing. And so that is about the floating paperclip, the magnetic force field, and blocking the magnetic force field. So these are the materials that the students will be receiving from me. I'm gonna have them be able to explore and use any of these for the activity, even though some things like the balloon and stuff were actually designated for another part of this packet. I'm going to end up just letting them use or play around with any of these things. And so what the students and I are going to do is I'm going to have 4 students, and I'm going to have them in pairs. So one pair and another pair, and they're each going to get this set of materials to share with their partner. And they will first, this is the part 1, is setting up their floating paper clip. And so for that, they will need the string, the paper clip, the magnet, and the double-sided tape. And they will tie the string to the paper clip, and then they will tape the string down to the table, and then they will use the magnet to attract the paper clip to lift up off the table and be floating. And then once it's like that and it's attached to the table with the string, partners will go ahead and start to explore with the bag materials that I hand them after they have gotten their floating paper clips set up. I will just instruct them to explore putting the objects and materials in between the magnet and the floating paper clip, and recording their observations. They have to record their observations, but they can do this in any way they want to. So this can be in the form of drawing what happens to the paper clip, what's the distance, or how is it placed in between that something happens. So they can draw, they can write, they can make a table, they can record their observations in any way that they see fit on their piece of paper, but they have to be recorded how the paperclip responds when certain materials are put in between the clip and the magnet, and making sure students know to write what object it was, and or to show what object it was and what happened. And then once they have explored all the objects, I will instruct them to come up with an explanation or a rule together with their partner as for why they think this happens. How could they maybe explain the phenomenon happening of certain materials blocking the magnetic field versus not, and seeing if they can create language for the magnetic field, and for the attraction and repelling, the material substances, and all that type of things, the different poles, seeing what they come up with there for their rule. Then they will get with the other set of partners, and they will compare. They will show their recordings of their observations, talk about what they saw happened, see how the other group maybe explored versus them, how their answers maybe are the same or different, and then sharing their rule with one another, seeing how they align, seeing what makes sense, and then trying to figure out together, combining that, what is the best rule we can make to explain this. And then as the teacher, I will introduce them to the word magnetic field, and making sure they know about the attraction and repelling and the different substance materials that come in the way and the poles and all of those sorts of things we will discuss and make sure we have the correct rule together in closing. So that is my rough idea for what I'm going to do for my CIBL activity with my students next week.